Boxing King Media in association with Boxstro. Gareth A. Davies, thank you for your time. Big fight this Saturday night. 18 people have tried, they've all failed. How much of a chance in percentage-wise are you giving Anthony Yarde of taking his own?
Oh, percentage-wise, I don't want to be too unfair here. Can I answer it a different way? If I was doing it in percentage-wise, I'd probably say 70-30. Because he's got power, he's got the ability, he's in the prime of his career, but he's up against a guy who's never really looked in serious trouble. He's recovered from being knocked down, he's got amazing amateur pedigree, commands the ring very well, exhausts other fighters. I think we might be seeing a modern Hagler Hearns in this fight where they're both going to go for it. I think Anthony Yarde will draw Beterbiev into a fight early, and I think a punch with him, try and time him. What his plan B is, I don't know, but we could get an amazing fight. I really do. It's so exciting. And if he pulls it off, it ranks with Lloyd Honeyghan beating Donald Curry. It ranks with Tyson Fury beating Vladimir Klitschko in 2015. We weren't expecting it. Cal Brooks, Sean Porter. Just some of those fights you were never expecting the Brit to win. And it will go down in that pantheon of amazing victories for British fighters. He's in his own hometown. He looks happy this week. There's no emotion being spent by both men. They're just ready to let their hands do the talking on Saturday night. It's very refreshing.
On the undercard, the time you've spent with Moses Atuma and the amount you've seen of him so far, do you think he'll be able to handle the pressure of whether it's success or even not looking as good as people expected him, or maybe even people slating his opponent on Saturday night?
He's got to look good, he's got to make statements. We say it about Fraser Clark and Daniel Dubois and all these guys who are young in the heavyweight division, David Adeleye. Listen, he clearly loves boxing. He clearly has no fear about stepping in with the big men. We hear at the age of 15 he was running out of school to get to the gym to spar with Joe Joyce and people like that. I mean, it's amazing. What a story. He's a great kid. I've interviewed him 2 or 3 times now. He clearly is kept in check by his brother Carol. Can't wait for his debut on Saturday night. And I was at the debut of Ricky Hatton, Joe Calzaghe, Amir Khan, Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua. So Carl Froch, you're following the rhythm of these guys' lives. It's such a privilege. So if in May 2025 he's fighting for the world title and he's under 20 days, 4 months, 20 years, 4 months and 22 days, and he's trying to beat the record of Mike Tyson as the youngest heavyweight champion in the world, we can chat that day and go, we've been there all the way through those, those 2 years of his rise. It's going to be amazing. He'll love it on Saturday night. Absolutely love it.
He 100% will. And just quickly on Tommy Fury, the rumour is that it's going to be announced for the 25th of Feb. From what everyone's saying, that seems like a concrete date, but how confident are you that it is going to be on that date and both guys are going to turn up and the fight's actually going to happen?
Well, I'd like to see it happen. It's been off 3 times, hasn't it? It's a fantastic Jeopardy fight. As Tyson Fury joked, Tommy, stay in Saudi Arabia if you lose. I still have Tommy Fury as the favourite in that fight, even though he's a novice as a fighter.
Eddie Hearn saying Jake Paul's a huge favourite.
Yeah, well, that's up to Ed. Look, if Tommy Fury is his fighter, he'd be saying Tommy Fury was the favourite. And I get that as a promoter. It's your fighter. I want to throw something out on the same date as well. I spoke to Aaron Chalmers last night. He's fighting Floyd Mayweather on February 25th. He is absolutely meared up, as he told me, and that's more of a Barnsley accent probably than a Geordie accent. But yeah, he's absolutely delighted and excited about fighting him. He can't believe it. He said it's so surreal. He's got to pinch himself. But look, these fights are crossing over, and yeah, we are hearing February the 25th in Saudi. I'm also hearing the fight's off as well, but I don't know. Who knows? Who knows?
And just want to ask you about, you spoke about it yesterday, this Conor Benn situation where the board and you kind of saying that he's not cooperated with them. But could that be because he's not legally obliged to?
Yeah, probably. Probably. And they're going the route of the WBC, the 270-page document that I've written about a couple of times. They've obviously put that out there. Robert Smith's put that out. I spoke to Robert on Saturday about this.
Very good interview.
Yeah, and basically he's saying I'm just really surprised by it. I think their plan of action is obviously to go through WBC and get cleared that way, and then probably come back to UKAD and Boxing Border Control and get cleared that way. But he's not licensed by the Boxing Border Control, so it's obviously a lot of legal hoops that they're doing. That they're doing without any perniciousness or doing kind of illegally in any way. But it just it lacks transparency, and so that's why people are ruminating about, oh look, they're delaying, and how can you come out and say this, that and the other. It just puts them in a difficult spot. It puts Conor Benn in a difficult spot. He's already in a difficult spot. Let's look at what's going on out there. Give us the reasons, you know. Tell us what's happening. I just think it's disappointing.
If the WBC clear him, do you think the British, if they do clear him,
they can clear him of their test and say it was a contamination, but it doesn't clear the other test as contamination. It was a separate test done under a different
is that UCAD? Do you mean UCAD? What do you mean?
What I mean is that they're two separate tests.
Are they both not with the WBC?
No, one was with the WBC and one was VADA going into the fight with Eubank.
That makes sense, because VADA are governed by the British Boxing Board. Makes sense.
No, VADA are not governed by... No,
governed by, they provide the British Boxing Board with the test.
No, they don't. No, they don't. You can't do all the testing for the box. That's the problem with this. You can't do the testing for the Boxing Board of Control. VADA do it. Conor's signed up voluntarily to do VADA. That's why it doesn't make any sense why you would be cheating. You signed up with VADA, you signed up with WBC Cares, because you want to be in their rankings to fight for the world title. And so if I was in that position, I'd be saying, yeah, but VADA is not your testing authority. But what we have learned is that the Boxing Board of Control and UCAD requested the VADA test and say they're going to recognise that test and investigate it, and they want to clear his name. But he surrendered his licence, didn't he? So he's no longer licensed by the Boxing Board of Control. They also said that the licence wasn't up to date, Conor Benn and Eddie Hearn's in. So, look, I want to be careful what I'm saying here, because I hope he clears his name. I hope they're two contaminated tests. I think the guy's phenomenal, but the problem is 2 tests of clomiphene positive turned up in his body in 2 VADA tests in July and in September. So you need to disprove it in some way, or take the ban, or whatever it is, and say, you can't just throw your hands in the air and go,
the last thing on that, because I spoke to Dominic Ingle, he said it's impossible for 2 tests from the same lab or a different lab to both be contaminated.
Well, I don't think it's... No, you can't say that either.
They're sealed.
They might have been contaminated. You don't know. I mean, look, strange things happen in life, you know? So I can't rule that out. I am not party to the evidence behind the scenes. So, look, he's had 2... All I will say is this. 2 positive tests with clomiphene in his system. He's yet to prove his innocence over them. They're scientific facts that they're in his body, okay? According to the test taken by VADA. If they're contaminated, then they need to show that. If there is a reason, then give the reason. But the problem is it's so shuttered behind so many layers of people not being able to talk about it because it's a case, that it just leads to conjecture, you know? I really hope he clears his name. I'd love to see him back. I'd love to see him fight Chris Eubank still, but I think Eubank needs to win first. And I think you should invoke the rematch clause against Liam Smith.
Gareth Davies, I know you got to go, so I'm not going to take up any more of your time. Thank you so much.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Bye.